Welcome back to the Packet Radio series. This week we are going to set up BPQ32 on Windows so you can host your own BBS and chat system over the radio. So stay tuned if you're interested. I've already done this, which in their case it was linbpq, but I wanted to do it for Windows too so I don't leave everybody out. I know not everybody is a Linux guru. So today we're going to be setting up a bulletin board system, a radio bulletin board system, and a chat system on modern Windows, in my case Windows 11. If you have not been following along with this series, I am doing everything Packet that I know. We're covering all kinds of different subjects about Packet Radio, and next is going to be IP and network traffic over Packet, so stay tuned for that as well. There is one important prerequisite to this video, and that's that you have some type of TNC already set up for your radio. It can either be a hardware or it can be a software TNC, because I'm going to show you configurations for both. But if you don't have a TNC setup, I highly recommend you check out the video I've already done, the ultimate guide to Packet Radio with Direwolf, the ultimate setup guide for Direwolf, that will get you set up for this video in order to actually set up a BBS server. If you haven't been following along, I always have already done the documentation on this on my blog. So the format is I'm going to be doing everything that I documented already on the blog on video. So if you guys are not video people, you can probably just follow along the text-based version, but this is going to accompany it for everybody. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open the blog because this helps me follow along and it shows me the resources and commands that I use. So I recommend you go ahead and open this up. The link's in the description at my website, themodernham.com. But basically we have, we're going to start right at the beginning. So we're going to go ahead and get BPQ32. So let's go ahead and open up that link, and I'll also provide, the link externally too. But we just need this zip file here, this BPQ32 zip file. So you guys are going to click on that and you're going to save it somewhere, right? And the next thing we're going to need is to see this password is BPQ32. We're going to need that password, obviously. Go ahead and locate where you downloaded BPQ32 and extract that folder. And obviously, if it asks for the password, we already know it's BPQ32, right? So in reality, all that's in here is an executable, an installer executable. So we're just going to go ahead and double click that and run it. And we're going to go with the default options. Now, I have already started my Direwolf TNC. So if you guys are using Direwolf, make sure that you already have Direwolf started and it's already hooked to your radio. If you're using a Serial TNC, like a Serial KISS TNC, make sure you already have that plugged into your computer. Remember, that's the only prerequisite. So we're going to go ahead and finish this installation. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go locate that configuration file. There's different ways you can do it, but just know that it's located in your user's username, app data, local. If that's too complicated, don't worry. I'm going to show you a shortcut. So if you hit your start button and you type in %, app data, % and hit enter, it will basically take you to where you need to be. You can see the path here. It's C users, bpinley, app data, roaming. The next thing we're going to do is open up the BBQ, zoom in a little bit. I don't think that helped. We're going to open up the BPQ32 folder. And inside this folder, you're going to see several files. But the most important one is this BPQ32.cfg configuration file. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. And you can edit it in Notepad or whatever you like. I'm going to use Notepad++, just because it shows me line numbers. And I'm going to try to zoom in too. That way you all can see better as to what I'm looking at. Now at this part of the blog, let's follow along here. And so basically we've opened the configuration file, and the next step is we're going to change line 24 to your call -7. And the -7, let's see, let's go ahead and go to line 27 first. Line 24. So where it says node call equals my call, you're going to replace this with your the call sign you want your node to be, and it needs to have an SSID. So I'm going to say KN4MKB. And normally this is supposed to be -7. I already have a -7 running in my RF environment. So in this case, I'm going to go off the script and say -3 for me. But just know that you all probably need to use 7, okay? It's not detrimental what you use here, but standards are 7. So next we have line 25, and we're going to change the alias. So the alias is just another way that people can use to connect and refer to your node. What I've taken to doing is something like MHNDE, which is like for modern ham NDE, but you want it to be limited to 6 characters. And that's basically the rules, right? People usually do some type of variation of their syllables or their name initials or something with the NDE at the end. But that takes care of that. Now line 27, this says this is an ID message text. So this is basically sent to ID yourself. So what you can do is just take this line on line 27 and change it to something that's, lets people know what your node is. So in my example, I've said KN4, MKB, BBS, and chat BPQ node. And that's what I'm going to use just to keep it simple for this example. But you guys would obviously change your call sign to, your call sign. So on line 30, we have something similar. This is the beacon text. And this is usually sent out on like APRS ports or something like that. It can actually take a APRS formatted latitude and longitude. And you guys don't have to get fancy like I've done in my example here. But just know that the APRS format for latitude and longitude, if you put it here, it will show up on APRS systems that can map people, right? But you don't even have to have all that. You could just take that out, and you could just make it the exact same thing as up here. It's not terrible, but it's good to advertise yourself somehow, right? You want to show people maybe where you're at or who you are, or what you're hosting. The info message. So let's move on down here. We have line 33, as I've said in example. This is the info message. So whenever people connect to your node, they can issue an info command, and it will show them information about your node or whatever you put here. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste my example. So line 33 here. So we're just going to replace that, and I've just put sysop, and that's me, and then type BBS or chat to start, right? But you can, obviously, again, just do your own thing here, what you want to show when people issue that command. So line 36 through line 37, when people connect in specific ways, they may be shown this message here, right? So you can go ahead and show them the different commands that are in your system. You can show them maybe like a brief description of your node. What I'm going to do is going to take my example again. So line 36, I'm going to put welcome to the KN4MKB-7. And it's not linbpq. I'm going to say winbpq, even though that's not what it's called. But line 37, I have what is the example, and then I have kind of what I put. And it looks like what I have here, all I've done to the, I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to keep it straight. All I've done to the example is changed my node in the example, or my call, to KN4MKB. That's literally all I've done to the example. So if you guys just want to change that on line 37, all the rest of these commands are still applicable. They're all going to be things that people can issue. So in the end, and I give an example of what that section right here, lines 24 through 38, what it should look like. So too easy, right? So now to test things, make sure you Control S or however you save the file. We're going to type, we're going to go to your start, and let's just type in BPQ32. And you should see an application called BPQ32 Terminal. There are a lot of BPQ32 applications and they don't always show up, so I'm going to show you a trick. If you type in BPQ on your search and you right click one, you can hit open file location. No, that didn't work. Let's try that again. The console. So we're going to right click the console and hit open file location. And this actually opens up the installation directory, which should be in your program files 86/BPQ32. I'm sorry I can't make it any bigger. But these are all your BPQ32 apps. So like I said, we're going to open up the BPQ32 terminal, which should be in this folder. And I'm just going to double click on it. And what this is actually doing is it's starting your BPQ32 node, but it's also starting a sort of console that we can use to interface with it. And we're going to issue a command here. And to do that, first we're going to say C, which is short for connect, and then 1, which is the port that we're using, and then we're going to say a call sign. And port 1, if you guys don't know, on the default setup is the loopback for the terminal. So if we haven't changed that, when we connect on port 1, what we're actually doing is connecting into our node. That might make more sense in a moment. Just bear with me. My node alias was MH for Modern Ham NDE. So you're going to put your node alias here, just like I said in the example, and then you can hit enter. And if you've got everything set up right, and I know it's small in the video, you should see your welcome message and you should see your commands. And from here you can actually use your node somewhat. The BBS won't work and the chat won't work yet, but you can say like info and things like that, and it should show your information that you just put in, right? So now we're going to close this out, and we're going to make sure BPQ32 is closed, and we're going to open that configuration file back up. So that was just to test to make sure that everything was flowing right, okay? The next thing we're going to do, and I go over a section on Direwolf. So if you guys are using Direwolf, the parameters that I have here is a very good start for packet radio. By default I've put 2 meter, but if you uncomment these in your Direwolf configuration file by removing them, you can get a pretty decent actual HF setup. That's basically it. I'm going to show you real quick my Direwolf configuration, and this is only if you're using Direwolf. You guys, some of you might be using a hardware TNC. This is all I have in my Direwolf configuration file for 2 meter, okay? And it works really well. You're going to find out. So this is a good baseline for 2 meter. We're going to go back over to linbpq. And I said we're going to remove the loopback port that's starting on lines 106 and ending on 110, right? Nice and simple. So we're going to go to 106 and see this port section here. This is the loopback port. I'm just going to highlight all of that. I'm going to hit delete. Okay. Now, if you're using Direwolf as your TNC, all you have to do is this next section here. It says if you intend on using Direwolf as your TNC, we're going to copy this and we're just going to paste it in, right? And the only thing that you need to modify is the beacon call. You might want to, you're going to have to just replace your call sign, probably keep it -7 again. Whenever somebody looks to the ports on your node, this is the text that will display. So if you guys are not using, 144 megahertz, or you're not using 1200 bytes per second or baud, then you should change those 2 parameters. But everything else should be the same. If you're running Direwolf on something else other than your Windows computer right now, if you for some reason you have it in a Pi in a window somewhere or something like that, you'll need to change this IP address to the IP address of whatever device is running Direwolf. So, too easy, right? If you're not using Direwolf, you're going to instead copy and paste this section. Right? It says right here, it says if you're using a KISS serial or a Pi TNC instead of Direwolf, you're going to use this section here. Now, if you're using a Pi TNC, you're going to remove this line, and then you're going to remove this little quote here to use this right here, right? Too easy. By default, though, you copy and paste this for serial TNCs. You're going to copy and paste this section for Direwolf. Replace the call signs and replace the ID if you're using something else. It's just a comment. Too easy, right? Everything should be kind of going pretty smooth here. There shouldn't be anything that's out of the ordinary. Now the next section here is going to be for Telnet. So on top of connecting with people within your radio, you might want to connect over network, or you might allow other people to connect over network. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of this right here, this next port. This is just for Telnet, and I'm going to copy it. And right under the in port for the port we just pasted in for RF, we're going to paste the Telnet port. And let's talk about this for a second. Just like the ID message on the RF port up here for Direwolf, this right here is just what's displayed to users if they look at your ports. Secure Telnet. This is important, and a lot of people leave this out. If you don't have secure Telnet equals 1, that allows other people that are connecting to your node, anybody, to use your Telnet server to connect out to any IP address or any port that your node can reach. And that can be problematic because people can use it for nefarious purposes. So I really recommend keeping this at 1, unless you have another reason not to. The next thing you might want to change here is important, just disconnect on close. So whenever you connect to somebody else's node through your node, maybe you log in and you open up BBS or you open up your chat, if you disconnect from that specific application, it's going to terminate your Telnet session. So you may or may not want that. By default, I'm going to leave it as 1. The TCP port, this is the port that your Telnet server is going to run on. And your HTTP port is the port that your HTTP server is going to run on. Where did I even say an HTTP server? I didn't. But for some reason, it's bundled with the Telnet. So what that means is by having this, you're going to be able to go online and actually manage your node through through a web browser. And I'll show you that in just a moment. Just know that that's the port that we're going to use. Now, just like we had ctext up there in the beginning, we also have ctext for Telnet, right? And it's different because Telnet, you might be able to put more text there, right? Or something like that, because people aren't usually connecting over RF to see this. So you might have a different message like, welcome to my Telnet server. The \ns they just create new lines. Now, here's where you need to pay attention. In order to log into Telnet, usually you have to have a username and password. So in this port configuration, you can set up users by saying user equals, and the next thing is going to be the username. Okay? So if you're creating an account for yourself for Telnet, you're going to replace modern ham with some username that you might use. After the first comma is going to be the password for this account. Right now, I just have it set to password in capital letters. You should probably change that because you don't want people logging in as administrator because you put your password as password. I'm just going to change this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 so it's clear. The next thing is going to be your call sign for this account. So anybody that logs in with this account, this is going to be the call sign that's used over RF. And after putting this blank quotes with another comma, this last part right here will make this account a sysop. So if I log in with this account, that means it's going to have administrator privileges. This next line sets up anonymous user access. So if somebody goes to your Telnet and they type in anon here in capital letters, anybody will be able to log in to your Telnet session. You may not want that, especially if you do not want that if you're exposing it to the entire internet. So if you don't want that, you just backspace it out and just remove that line. But for this example, I know some people might want anonymous user access, so I've included it. And that takes care of most of the configuration. That's the Telnet part. We're going to scroll on down, and I explain all of this username and password stuff as well. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to enable this BBS and some chat applications. So on line 85, I'm going to go to line 85 in the configuration file. you should see BBS equals 0. We're going to change that to BBS equals 1. Too easy, right? And at the end of the file, you should see the application section. So we're going to go all the way down to the application section. And you're going to see there's nothing here, obviously. Same thing I say here, right? We're going to copy and paste this next section right here. Remove those lines. I say remove these lines. You don't have to. I guess I'll follow my blog, right? I'll remove them. And I'm going to paste this right here. And obviously, you're going to change some of this. So what is this? Each application in BPQ32 gets like an identifier number to know which application's which. This is the command that users use to open that application. This right here is the way for users to connect directly to this application from RF. So if they connect, for example, to -7, they're going to get to your node. I'm going to change this to, let's see, so I said my node is going to be -3, right? I'm going to say -4 for my BBS, and I'm going to say -5 for my chat. And the next line here is what you see, like before, it's an alias. And what I've done is said modern ham BBS or modern ham CHT for chat. Most people will keep that BBS and CHT at the end and then modify the beginning, right? Again, you could use your initials or whatever it be. This 255 is the quality of connection in that application. That's an advanced thing we're not going to talk about. You don't need to know anything about it at this point. But we're going to make sure you save this configuration. Once we save that file, we are going to find, let's see, we need to find this BBQ mail and a BBQ chat. So I'm going to follow along. In the same folder as the BPQ32 console shortcut, there's another shortcut called BPQ32 programs. So console or terminal, you see it right here. We're looking, we should be actually in the same folder. You'll see BPQ32 chat and BPQ32 mail. The BPQ mail executable. So you're just going to double click on it. And it's going to say no configuration found, dummy config created. We're going to hit OK. And we are going to follow on my blog here to make sure I keep on track. We're going to go to configuration, main configuration. And remember those application numbers I just talked about? This is where we're going to set it. So we're going to set this to 1 for the application number. The streams is how many people can connect at once. I'm going to say 5. Okay. There's some other options in here that can get kind of advanced. Okay. For now, we're keeping it as simple as possible. So I'm changing this application number to 1, the streams to 5, and I'm going to hit save. Program must be restarted. Cool. So let's go ahead and close that out. Next, we're going to find that BPQ32 chat. I'm going to open it up. And it's kind of the same deal. It's going to say configuration not found. I'm going to hit OK. This time, the chat application number, we're going to set it to the same thing in the config and go 2. And we're also going to say stream is equal to 5. And we're going to say simple welcome message. We're going to say welcome to KN4MKB chat. You put your call sign in there or whatever welcome message you might want to put. I'm going to go ahead and hit save welcome message. Oh, I should have actually hit save after setting the application number in the streams first. So we're going to hit save up there. So now we're going to close it out. There is one more thing in the configuration file we have to do. Sorry, guys. The lines 49 to 51, you should see this nodes interval. Let's see. 49 to 51, okay. This is how often your beacons are sent and your IDs and your all of that broadcasts and all of that. So I'm going to change it to 25 for the nodes interval, 10 for the ID interval, and 60 for the beacon. One more thing here we're going to do. So we're going to go to the very top of the file. And I'm just gonna like hit enter so I get some new lines here at the top. And I'm gonna copy and paste this next section here. So I'm gonna copy it and I'm just gonna paste. Locator, you're gonna set your locator to your 6-digit or character grid, okay? You should know how to find that. The map comment is it's a comment that's sent to the map server for BPQ32 nodes. I'm going to show you real quick where to find that here on this link. This right here is just a map of packets, packet nodes. So I'm going to look at mine here. And I've got 7, 8, 9 because I do so much experimentation. So number 7 is the one that I run full time. That's all that is, okay? So this BR is for break line. So if you'll see here, I have multiple lines here, and you can put HTML elements too. But that's just what that is, okay? People can see your node on this map, and they can see a comment, so you might want to put something nice. I don't know. Anyways, back to the blog. We're going to go ahead and close that out. And again, here's the Direwolf, a small portion of Direwolf setup. You should have Direwolf running. As you can see right here, I have Direwolf running. Or your Serial TNC plugged in, okay? You should have that ready now. Now we're going to go ahead and start that BPQ terminal application. So we're going to go ahead and start it up. And we should have a full-fledged BPQ32 node at this point. How do we test it out? Good question. So first, I'm going to show you how to connect to another node. Well, here, I'm going to hit action, I'm going to hit connect. And I'm going to hit, let's say, question mark. We are in our node now. We're connected to our node, okay? Too easy, right? Now, if I type in ports, capital, I know you guys can't see this, it's too small. It's going to show the ports that we have. So we can use that RF port that we've created to connect to other nodes, okay? So I'm going to connect to my node, another node that I have running. So I'm going to say C for connect. And then I'm going to say 1 for that first port. And I'm going to put in the call sign of the node. And that's going to be KN4MKB-7. The radio that I'm using for this isn't turned on. All right, so if you guys can see, it says connected to KN4MKB-7. You can use commands to run all of the things that you normally would. This is all going over RF, right? So that's what you're seeing here. I'm actually connected to my other node. So how do you manage your own node? Well, if I disconnect from this other node, I can type in B to disconnect. When we hit action and then connect, we're already logged into our node. We're already here. So if we want to open our own BBS, we can type in BBS. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained. I should have followed my blog. After you get BPQ terminal started, you need to also start a BPQ mail by double clicking it, and you need to start BPQ. I don't know why BPQ chat said that there wasn't a configuration. I'm going to hit save on that. That's silly. Let's close it out and reopen it. Now, we should have everything open. So I'm going to say now I'm going to try to open that BBS. All right, so now it's asking for my name. I can say, Billy or whatever. Or we can open up our chat. So if I say, /B, I think B is to disconnect from something. And I can type in chat. And here I am inside the chat server. Now, I told you all that you can manage your node over HTTP, right? So to do that, you're going to type in the IP address of your node, which if it's on the same system like mine is, it's going to be, you can use 127.0.0-1 and then 8012:8012, and that's going to bring you to your node page. So you can hit routes and show your routes or nodes or ports, right? Or links or users and stats and all this other stuff. But you can also go to like mail management, and we can see maybe the messages that people have sent. We can see the users that have logged in. So you can do all of this administration from here. And there's also, if you go back to the home page, you can actually open up a terminal from the web, and you can see and use your node Well, I always try to zoom in. It doesn't work like that. You can use your node from the web. So the same way that I just connected to the other radio, I can say C1 and then a call sign. Don't want to get too far into the weeds. I know sometimes I start rambling. You have a functional BPQ32 node at this time. You have ability to connect to Telnet, and you have the ability to connect over RF. So if you guys want other people to be able to connect to your node over Telnet, you can forward ports or open them in your firewall, or you can have them set up the node or some other way to connect with packet radio and put in your call sign -7 in the same frequency, and they'll be able to pull your node and send you messages through your BBS and your chat and so on and so forth. So there you are. That's how you set up a BPQ32 node on Windows. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope that I was able to explain everything properly without getting a little too scattered. If it gets a little confusing, just follow the blog. It'll take you from start to finish. Don't worry. This is almost the end of the bulletin board systems. There's a couple of other things that I'd like to cover, and that's mainly going to be advanced topics such as like node-to-node links, and we may also set up one other BBS system called JNOS just to have a little bit of diversity. But anyways, I hope you guys were able to get a node up and running. If you ran into any issues, or if you saw something that just wasn't quite right with what I've done here, make sure to let me know in the comments so I can correct it. I can't change the video, but I can change the blog, and that's mostly where people are going to be pulling information from. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and 73 to you.